Welcome back, everybody, to The Uncommon Element. And today, I'm actually going to be talking to you about a little something that I came up with that's called Project Zero. Probably many of you have noticed that our culture and fun revolves around, riding around, going to different bars, out and socializing, and we need that as, part of our human element. But what I've noticed through my time, and I'm going to share some stories with you about this as to why Project Zero came about, alcohol plays a major role in our lives, whether we like it or not. And what I mean by that is it's all around us. You see it everywhere. Your friends always say, hey, let's go out and celebrate. Let's go grab drinks. Let's do that. Let's do this. But I guarantee you, each and every one of you that is listening to this right now has woken up with a massive hangover, headache, and all sorts of nonsense or some sort of regret after a night out or a day out or, a lack of productivity in your life that ultimately kind of leaves you two steps behind. And my journey with alcohol really started in high school at boarding school. I went to the Hill School in Pennsylvania and, getting handles and sneaking things in and, causing all sorts of mischief. Late nights when you're with your best friends on, your dorm halls because we couldn't go home and we had a lot of international students. So, really they restricted your access to even leaving campus to, I think it was like twice a trimester. It's broken up into 3 sections every year. But what I realized pretty quickly when I got into college is there was no control whatsoever, right? When I first got to Maryland and started playing lacrosse down there, it was a form of hazing. It was also a form of fun. Like we would drink and have lots of like cool party games and play video games and just get absolutely hammered. And it wasn't until I got to Northeastern where I started to realize the toll that it was taking on my mentality. And so I've got this tattoo actually on my wrist. It says 0.01. And the reason why it's there is because I had a 0.01 chance of actually not ending up either dead, homeless, or in prison based on genetics related to alcohol, depression, anxiety, suicide in my family, things. All of those things were all directly tied and related to alcohol, and I grew up around it. My dad was an alcoholic. And by all means, I love my dad. He's a great person. He was not the best father of all time in the world growing up because, the way that his coping mechanism was to go grab a bottle of Jack Daniels and down that thing, and at least half of it, if not the full bottle. And that runs through my entire family. So if this is resonating with you, trust me, it's something that you can control, and it is your responsibility to take control of, because ultimately we have the ability to change, what the trajectory is, or be that individual in our own families that changes the trajectory of our lives, what the legacy's left, and what our last name really means on this earth. So I started noticing these patterns in college, right? And after taking this like 300 question intense survey that dove deep into my past, my family history, all these different things, the states of depression, like manic depression, all of that, I was still hitting the bottle really, really hard. And I was still performing as an athlete at a really high level, but I just always kind of now wonder what it would have been like if I would have removed alcohol completely from my life at that point. So, fast forward a number of years, I'm in San Francisco. I am partying. I'm working insane hours for Oracle. I'm traveling a lot, doing a lot of things that, pretty uncommon, I think, for somebody at my age, but got a lot of great experience. But it's still every single night, Wednesday through Sunday, especially during football season, I was out boozing with my friends, hanging out, doing the things that, I just thought I needed to do to socialize, to build business. And that was like the right things to do. And it really kind of rocked me. And I'm not sure 100% of whether or not that's what led to my near-death experience when I was 26, but I have no doubt that it played a massive role in it. So I've spent a lot of years really reflecting after leaving San Francisco and going to travel, and still booze, very, very evident everywhere. What did you do every night? You wanted to go out and party. During the day, you went out, you cruised around on motorbikes and saw some crazy cool stuff, immersed yourself in culture, and then ultimately you go back and, hey, fuck it, get a bucket. That's literally what the saying was in multiple countries that I was living in at the time. So I come back and I'm here, and I still find that alcohol had been a massive part of my life. I mean, think about the money that you spend at bars, or the money that you spend on booze, or, the things that you do. Maybe it's 1 out of 100 times that you do them that you wake up and you go, shit, I really wish that I didn't take that action. I didn't say those words. I really just wish that I didn't put that relationship in jeopardy. So I started doing a lot of writing about it and a lot of reflecting. And in one of my past relationships, alcohol became a pretty problematic thing for us, which actually drove me in the other direction of more towards sobriety, as opposed to influencing or even supporting the fact that, my significant other wanted to drink. And it started to create kind of a major wedge and a gap in our relationship. And unfortunately, that fortunately and unfortunately that did not work out. But it was an eye-opening experience to me when we went to my family reunion, which is a better part of a year ago now. And I just noticed that alcohol has these triggers. And especially for a person like myself, like my grandfather killed himself, was a very big partier. My grandmother on my mom's side drank herself to death, unfortunately. My grandfather on my dad's side was a massive alcoholic, very abusive, which translated into a not great home environment for me. I'll save those details, but for those of you who know me, know that backstory and how that really affected my life. So I spent the last 12 months really looking at what alcohol has played in terms of its role in my life and the positives and benefits versus the negative outcomes that have set me back in relationships, in my profession, and in other areas of my life that are important to me that I really recognize and realize now. And if you listen to the last podcast that Sam and I were talking about addiction, And, he was very open and honest, and I really appreciate everything that he said, because I really do think that that's going to help people. And I really hope that this helps you. If you're struggling with alcohol, it's something that you can get control of. I want to be very clear with you. You can get control of it. And it's something that you don't have to let it control you. You don't have to make that your escape. You have every ability in your mind. Once you make up your mind, and I really hope that it's not a tragic experience for you that ends up creating such an impactful event that you ultimately have to stop. But for me, what's really helped me is surrounding myself with higher level people. And what I mean by that are people who have shown me what discipline, consistency, and patience really, really look like. And setting that standard of becoming the most elite version of yourself. So I spent a lot of time sitting down over the last 12 months, writing out my goals, writing out, who I want to be, where I want to go, where my life journey is taking me, and what the benefits are going to be. But also I had to identify what were the things that I was willing to sacrifice. And I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine. And here's a funny story for you, but I was at an event for one of our business events, and I just noticed that I was in a lot of pain. We had played paintball. Here's your funny story. I got shot in the nuts, dude. It was horrible from about 5 feet away. But I digress. For the next 2 days, I was walking around and I was just like, man, this sucks. Like, I need something to take the edge off. Escape, right there. Bingo, trigger in my brain. Escape. I'm trying to escape the pain that I'm trying to go through. But what I realized is, for me, and probably for a lot of you, is once you open up that waterfall, it doesn't stop gushing. And eventually, as coherent as I can be drinking alcohol, the next day I wake up and I just don't feel good, and I feel horrible. My workouts aren't as good. I'm not as motivated. I'm not as productive. And I needed to really take a good hard look at what I really needed to remove and was willing to sacrifice in order to really level up in my life. And I'm not there yet. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that I still need to accomplish in my life, but there are a lot of things that I've accomplished in my life and won in my life, including decreasing the amount of alcohol consumption that I've had, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, which has really, really helped me because I was using it as an escape, and I was using it to try and shadow and kind of bury my feelings. And instead of actually facing them head on, I was trying to just numb the pain of all the stress and anxiety and problems and of running a business and being in an unhealthy relationship and dealing with parents that still wanted to parent that really still wanted to booze every single night, and it caused massive destruction in my life. That's what I came to the conclusion of, is the most important relationships in my life, the most important people, the people who are supposed to show you the examples or, be the people who, set the tone for you, are the ones that are out there that are getting smashed and then, losing their shit. And then, transversely, I ended up being that person getting smashed. And then, 1 out of 100 times, eventually, I mean, it used to be more frequent, but losing my temper or communicating in an ineffective way, realistically, that just left me feeling sad and really just unfulfilled, and I just got tired of it. So after this event, I got a call from a great friend, honestly, and a mentor of mine. And he was talking to me, and he said, I understand that you probably have a tendency to drink a little bit much, so, and that's just feedback. That's just the network that I'm a part of, where nobody's talking shit. Everybody's actually like concerned about one another, right? About, I've never seen Josh like that. I've never seen Josh like, drink that much, or even like have a drink, right? And so that was the trigger point for me. It was a trigger for me that, like, holy shit, I'm around people now that look at me as a person that is respected within my community, and also someone that, even to what my mentor said, they look up to me, and it was something that really just kind of hit me right between the eyes, and it made me really sad. It made me really sad because I thought in my mind that I was continuing to progress and take steps forward, but what I realized is that was my dots connecting right then and there. Was alcohol is holding me back from getting to where I want to go and developing the types of relationships, friendships, eventual marriage that I want. And I don't want to set that type of example for my kids. I just don't. I don't think it's appropriate. I think that, everything that your kids see from you is what they're gonna do in their life, whether it's in your genetics or not, but you can set that example, right? So, I'm in the business coaching space. I also have a business coach who I'm incredibly grateful for, and thank him for his service, for being a Green Beret. And he's a bad motherfucker. But we were talking, and he asked me, he said, what's the one thing that I can hold you accountable for? And if anybody's ever looked at my wall behind me in my office, honestly, it's filled with my goals. It's also filled with the things that I'm willing to sacrifice in order to achieve those types of goals. And one of those sacrifices is remove alcohol from my life. And I looked at him and I said, alcohol. That's it. Alcohol. And his response to me was, hey, you know what? Here's the deal. We're gonna use numbers here, okay? And the number is gonna be 0. I said, okay, what does that mean? And he says to me, he goes, every 2 weeks that we talk, I want that number to be 0. I'm gonna ask you, how many drinks did you have? And our goal is always 0. And I don't know where where it popped into my brain or whatever, but I was sitting down and I said, I need to come up with like something in my head that is going to remind me every single time that I want to go out and I want to socialize, because I don't want to give up my social life, right? I am a social person, and I really like to engage and develop relationships with people and really provide value and without any expectations, really. But the more that I can provide value, but what I figured out is the more alcohol I drink, the less value I provide. That's just bottom line. And I probably don't have to tell you, but to be quite fair, people say that I've had multiple conversations with people and friends, clients, you name it, about how alcohol has been the escape for them, how they bury their feelings, how they bury their stress with it. And ultimately, I just realized it was like, no, I'm going to call this motherfucker Project Zero. Because for the rest of my life, I want to make sure that I remind myself that this is a project that I'm working on myself. I'm working on me. And so I threw this out there, right? And the responses that I got from people were like, holy shit, like, that's awesome. Like, I'm very interested in becoming part of this. And I'm interested to see where Project Zero goes, because I really believe that there are a lot of people out there that are suffering right now, and even adding to the depression, anxiety, and suffering that they have in their lives just by trying to mask and cope with it. And it all comes down to this alcohol. It's like this fucking devil, but it's always around us. And I'm not saying, like, if you're that person, right, like, to go from hero to zero, if you're drinking a 24 pack a day, you're not going to go to zero right away. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I do believe in moderation. I think that, like, you need to understand that you need to level off and, like, start kind of like taking steps back to reduce the amount of consumption that you have. Because, you know, I've talked to people that, you know, are going through PTSD, whether that be family situations or, you know, military or whatnot, that just try and mask it with alcohol. And it makes your life and your brain so much worse. You can read any study out there. And don't give me this bullshit about, oh, maybe I'll switch to wine so it'll help my heart. No, dude, if you drink a bottle of wine, you're still fucking up your body. You're still going to be hungover, plus the sugar, and that's going to make you fat. All right. So if you have goals in your life of, like, attaining an elite version of you or an elite fitness version of you, or, you know, whatever that looks like in the different pillars of your life, right? Your family, your friendships, your marriage, your health and fitness, your career, and your faith in your spirituality, I'm going to guarantee you right now that alcohol is going to get in your way at some point in your life. And if you have kids, you're setting an example for them, especially if you're going out and getting wasted, that it's okay to do that. Oh, dad does that, cool. Now I'm 16, I got a car, I can go out, cool. I'm gonna go get fucked up. We lost friends in high school from that. I mean, it rocked everyone's world. We lost friends from high school in that, in car crashes, boat crashes, you know, just, you name it. Going to jail, getting into fights. And I know that there are a couple people in here, if not all of you, that this is resonating with right now, because it's resonated with me, and it gets me fired up. It gets me fired up just to talk about it, because honestly, when I think about what kind of impact that's had on my life, shit, it's a monster. That's the only thing that's the only way that I can label it that makes the most sense to me in my mind, is it's a fucking monster. So what I figured out is, you know, I didn't want to give up my social life, right? But here's a trick that my dad taught me, and this is probably going to help you, okay? But I'll also give you another helpful tip here, is if you're going to go out, okay, and you don't want to be bothered by people trying to peer pressure you into drinking, all right? Order a soda, water, and lime. No one knows whether or not the fuck there's vodka in there, tequila in there, whatever. It doesn't matter, okay? But order a soda, water, and lime. You're going to feel hydrated. You're going to feel better. You're going to look around and you're going to be like, damn, I'm actually glad I'm not acting like that, or I don't feel like that. I mean, I was at an event here in Dallas a couple weeks back, and there was a guy trying to like feed me shots. He's like, yeah, come on, like I haven't seen you in a while, like let's take some shots. I was like, dude, bro, I'm sorry, but I'm sober. And he goes, what? Don't be lame. Come on. And I looked at him and I go, it's just a personal choice, man. Like, hey, have all the shots that you want. I'm gonna order a soda water and lime. I will pay for your shots. But I'm not gonna get involved in that. And he just kept looking at me, and I was like, it's all good, man. It's all good. I don't mind being that person that's gonna stand there and still socialize with people and be completely sober. And I've gotten used to it. I mean, this has been slowly but surely coming. Like I said, I've been really significantly decreasing my alcohol intake, which has significantly increased my productivity. It's dropped my weight. It's gotten me into the best shape that I've been in since I was an athlete in college. Okay. It's just, I have more clarity in my mind. I'm less quick to a trigger, and I find that I'm developing better relationships because of it. I mean, shit. And that could be you too. So I labeled it Project Zero. Project Zero. Because I feel very lucky and fortunate to even be here talking to you. If you're listening to this right now, I want to thank you, because I feel very fortunate and lucky to be here. I've had 2 near-death experiences in my life. I should not be here. I shouldn't. There's no way, like, I don't know. I beat a lot of odds. I feel like I'm running out of lives, but that's another story for another time. But realistically, if you want to get involved in Project Zero, please, by all means, hit me up, DM me. If something that Sam said on our last, or on the last podcast that we had, was when he feels the urge to do something, or when someone else that he supports, because he's a great person, right? He actually is a person who is a sponsor for, I think, like somewhere between 10 and 14 individuals. And when they feel the urge, they text him. And he responds back. And this dude has been clean for 10 years. I'm like, shit. Like, I got a long way to go before 10 years. But what I can tell you is, in 10 years from where I'm at today, by removing alcohol from my life and sacrificing that, I will be 100x farther ahead than I would be if I went out and I continued to use that as an escape in my life. And for those of you who are my friends and my clients and that are listening to this, that have also reached out to me, I want to say I'm proud of you. Because the text messages, the contacts, everything that you send, all right, they mean a lot. Not just to me, but to you, to your family, to the legacy that you're gonna leave behind when you leave this earth. And if you can get control over that and stop using it as an excuse for something that is an escape for you, then your life will become 10 times better. But it's a slippery slope, and I want to remind you of that, because if you've ever quit anything in your life and then relapsed off of it, the one time you make that excuse in your head that, oh, it's cool, I've had 90 days of sobriety, right? It's cool if I have like 1 or 2 beers. Cool. Next week, you go and buy a 6-pack. And the next week, you're doing the same thing. And then 3 months later, you're back to the same fucking square one that you were when you said that you were so sick of it that you were gonna stop. So if you're having issues with this, I urge you to go out into nature somewhere, grab a notebook and T-chart it. And look at all the positives that alcohol has brought to your life and the negatives. And I'm gonna guarantee you right fucking now, those negatives are gonna be 10x what those positives are. So if you're interested in Project Zero, hit me up. You know where to find me on Facebook, on social, all right, Josh Bonita Official on Instagram. And, you know, do us a favor, please, or do me a favor, please, and like and subscribe this if you want to drop us a review. If you're getting something out of this and want to become involved, please, by all means. You know, I'm here to help in any way that I can because I really, really, truly believe in this. And I believe that I have a chance to change the legacy of what I'm going to leave on this earth, of what the Meunier last name stands for when it comes to living the best fucking life you can possibly live. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I look forward to the next time. And until then, this is Josh.